we have two awesome speakers, which is Akshita and Geetha. So Akshita is, I think, 9-year-old from India. She's not a stranger to our PowerApps4Kids group. She attends every month, and she was also one of the winners of our competition last year where we made the Christmas card. And then, of course, we have Geetha S all the way from US. Geetha, thanks a lot for coming along. I know it's late over there. So show us how to do some design tips, how to make beautiful, pretty power apps. So this is just who are we? So that's me, Elaine, and Jiwa. Jiwa is somewhere on the phone. He's I think he's in the train or something. So he's muted, else you'll be hearing all the train noises. So I'm Elaine from Melbourne, and my partner in crime is Jiwa from Singapore, and we run this every month so that kids able to join and learn Power Apps. Akshita, do you wanna intro yourself? Just give a short introduction.
Yes. Hello everyone.
Hi.
I'm Akshita Hashi from Bangalore.
What do you like to do?
Can I share my screen?
Yeah. Sorry?
Can I share my screen?
You want to share your screen? Yeah, you can share your screen. You want to show us something?
Yeah.
Okay.
She's already ready. She's like, I've got cool stuff to show you guys.
Yeah,
Let's
she's like,
not waste
Geetha, you
any
move
time."
aside, Geetha. Who are you?
We all want to see for sure.
Share your screen, Geetha. Sorry, Akshita, I'll stop sharing my screen.
Hello everyone. I'm Akshita Harshi JS from Bangalore, India. My hobbies are skating, drawing, karate, and abacus. I'm a black belt holder in karate. I have a blog too. Here's the link. My mother has a cooking channel. She's available on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Now I'm going to tell how I started with PowerApps. In October 2020, I attended my first session on PowerApps4Kids. I loved the session and started to make apps in PowerApps. Thanks to Jiva uncle and Elaine auntie for organizing. I also make apps in Scratch, Toontastic 3D, Structd 3D. Now, how do I remember the birthday dates of my friends and relations? So I came up with a plan. I started to make my birthday reminder app in PowerApps. My birthday reminder app steps. The steps are below to make a birthday reminder app. Step 1. Create a table in Excel workbook and store the file in OneDrive. Step 2. In PowerApps, select the data source as OneDrive Excel file to build your app screens. Step 3. Welcome screen. Add a welcome screen with enter button. Step 4. Add a camera screen linked with the edit screen. Now I'm going to show a demo. First, we have to go to OneDrive. Select New, then click on Excel Workbook.
Sorry, we can't see your screen, Akshita.
It's black.
Maybe you have to share
We can only
it.
see the mouse.
I think it's at the end of your slideshow.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have two screens?
We are resharing the screen now.
Yep, I see Excel file now.
First, we have to go to OneDrive. Click on New, click on Excel Workbook. There should be 3 columns in the Excel workbook. They are name, date of birth, image. Now I'm gonna enter a sample. Date. Now I'm going to insert a table. Click on Insert, click on Table. You should click my table has headers. Now I'm going to save the file. Click File, click on Save As. Click on Save As. Click on Documents. Click Save. Now I'm in PowerApps homepage. Click on Excel Online. Click on OneDrive for Business phone layout. There are many connections. I have already connected to my OneDrive. Click on My Connections. I click on my OneDrive. Click on Book to. Click on Table 1, then give Connect. The screen is loading with page designs. There are 3 screens in my app. They are Browse screen, Detail screen, and Edit screen. Browse screen shows the items in the app. Detail screens gives information about the item. And Edit screen helps us to edit the item. Now I'm going to check it. Click on New. Add a photo. Then I click on Save. Now it is saved. Now I'm going to add a welcome screen to the app. Click on New Screen. Click on Blank. Let's rename the screen as Welcome Screen. Now I'm going to change the background color. Let us add a label. Click on Label. I'm naming it as my birthday reminder. make it a little bigger. I click on bold. Then I am placing align center. Now I'm going to add an image. Click on media, click on image. Now I'm going to add an image. Add an image file. Click on birthday cake. I'm going to make the image a little bigger. Now I'm going to add a button to it. Now I'm naming the button as Enter. Now I'm going to enter a code to the button so it navigates to the browse screen. Navigate. Browse screen 1. Let us check. Wow, it enters. Now I'm going to add a camera screen to it. Click on blank. I'm renaming it as camera screen. Now I'm going to add a camera controller. Media and camera. Hi. Now I'm going to add an image. For image. Now I'm going to add a code to the image. So when we take a photo and when we click in the camera, it comes here. Camera 1 dot photo. Now I'm going to add a button. Now I'm going to rename the button as OK. I'm going to add a code to the button. Navigate. Edit screen 1. Let us check. Wow, it navigates. Now I'm going to add an icon. Click on icons. I click on a camera icon. Now I'm gonna add a camera icon, a code. Navigate. Camera screen. Now I'm going to add a code to the image too. This is the code. I'm going to unlock it. It is already locked. Click on unlock. Now I'm going to change it as camera 1. Now let us check in a new item. Enter. Complete. The picture is already taken. I take a picture. Okay. Now it comes. Click on save. I'm gonna go to browse screen and it is saved. Now I'm going to change the background color. It is saved. On the same color. Detail screen. Edit screen. And camera screen. Now I'm going to check it once more. New. The photo. I'm going to insert a new item. You can add a picture, click on menu. I'm clicking on save. Now it's done. Did everyone like my session?
Hey, Akshita. Oh, you're sharing your
Did
screen.
everyone like?
I want to say it's amazing.
Thank you.
You have came such a long way since the first app I saw you build, which is the Christmas. Is it the Christmas card or Halloween
Yeah.
card? Yeah, 6 months ago, right? And now you're building a camera with a reminder. And what I like about it is you rename your screen. Oh my God. I've really emphasized that everyone needs to rename their screen. It's like PowerApps best practice that a lot of us professionals don't do. That's a very key thing. So really good job, Akshita. Does anyone have any question for Akshita?
Thank you.
Does anyone have questions? Okay, if no question, I'll hand it to Geetha. So Geetha will show us how to design Power Apps and make pretty apps. Geetha, the screen is yours.
Thank you. Thank you. Let me start sharing my screen. Let me know if you guys see it. Did that show up okay? Yeah. You guys see it okay?
Yeah, I can see okay.
All right, thank you. So I'm Geetha. I live in Dallas, Texas, and one of the tools that I work with on a day-to-day basis at work is PowerApps. So thanks to Lainey and Jiva for inviting me to share some of the stuff that I do, which is one of them is branding and designing PowerApps. So I thought I might come in and just share some quick tips to get started with designing PowerApps. Now, there are several things to consider, but I thought these 4 things are very important to know as you start with your app making journey. And I really just have one slide. This is the one slide that we're going to look at. The rest of the time, I'm just going to be walking you through how to use some of the things that the app's designing portal already provides. And then we'll go look at some external resources that we can use to start building apps. So it's going to be very light on presentation, but pretty demo heavy. So before we get started, there are some things I wanted to see, if you'd like to share something that we already know. So what are some things that pop out when you see an app or even a website? Anybody want to share? Like there are things that you open up an app on your phone, there might be certain things that pop out to you, the first things that, your eyes fall on, something that, makes you feel excited about. What are some of those things?
The colors for me.
Yeah, colors are definitely one of those things, right? And then you have graphics, right? Images. So Akshita had, she had a beautiful birthday cake with a candle. And then of course, like any cool controls, like she had a camera control that can take pictures. And then, you have the fonts, the type of text that you use, the sizing of things. There are several things like that really pop up. And all of these things that you see as soon as your eyes lay upon a specific app kind of fall into 2 categories. One is called UI and the other one is called UX. UI stands for user interface and UX stands for user experience. So UI is about your app's interface. It's about creating a very intuitive experience so that users don't have to think too much when they're using their app. And then UX is not just about visuals, it's about the overall feel, the overall experience the user has. What do they feel? How easy is it for them to accomplish the task that they're coming to? What's the reason why they're coming to your app? So an easy way to remember the difference between UI and UX is that UI is what users see and UX is what users feel. So there's a really cool tip that I heard from someone, and I think would be nice for all of you to know, is a good UI UX should be hard to notice because it should fit within your user's needs so well that it should be invisible, right? That's how good it should be. So we'll take a look at some examples of how you can work with good UI and UX, and then what things you need to do. Now, another thing that you want to remember is that it's very important for you to storyboard your designs and plan ahead. So let's say, for example, you have your requirements nailed down. You know who are your app audience, you know what problem you're trying to solve, and you know what actions need to happen when a user gets to the app, right? But what would really help next is to have a visual representation of what that looks like. How does my app need to be laid out? Now, there are several ways to do that, but if you're going to start simple, I do that a lot of times. If you're familiar with using PowerPoint, you could simply pull up a PowerPoint slide, drag, drop a couple of boxes and kind of just storyboard what your app needs to look like. What does that flow needs to look like? How many screens do you have? You have a home screen, you have a second screen. How does that, and then within each screen, you don't have to detail out every control, but just a very high level flow of what your app needs to function as and what it needs to do. Or it could be something as simple as you just whiteboarding it and take pictures and keep that, because at a later point, it's going to help you when you start referring to it and then you start making iterations and enhancements to it. So that's something that you really have to keep in mind as one of the very first steps when you start building an app. Now let's talk a little bit about branding. When I asked what are some of those things that pop out, Lenny said colors. Colors are one of the most important components of your app branding. And what branding really is, it's just the consistency, the maintenance of a consistent look and feel across your app, from the first screen to the last, whatever controls they click on, whatever they're looking at, it should look consistent. So there's this concept of using primary or secondary colors. So primary colors are the ones that are most frequently used in your UI. They actually do form the foundational building block of your brand colors. So general design recommendations that you don't have more than 3 primary colors. 2 is good, 3 maybe, but not more than 3. And then you have secondary colors. Now these are optional. You don't necessarily have to have secondary colors, but it's always good to have some accent colors. Let's say you want to emphasize a UI element, for example, a button, or maybe you have a progress bar. Then you can have additional accent colors if you want. But then the colors that you pick really need to be complementary of each other. So I'm going to show you some easy ways to go start. You don't have to start from scratch. You can get inspired from templates, and there are several resources out there that you can go tap into and use some of the concepts from there. So we're going to look at that as well. And then finally, the last tip over there is accessibility. As designers or app makers, we all have the responsibility to make sure that everyone has access to what we create, regardless of their ability, their context, or situation. So end of the day, when we build an app, we want to make a better experience for everyone. So there is a concept of WCAG, which is called Web Content Access Guidelines. It's a standard which is about your site or any design to work for all people, no matter whatever hardware they're on, what software they use, what language, location, or ability. So it has to be accessible to people with the diverse range of hearing, movement, sight, and cognitive abilities. So that's the whole purpose of making your apps accessible for everyone. And I'll give you a very simple example. Let's say you build an app and you have your controls. On the home screen, let's say you have a button next, and that takes you to the next screen. What if we have a friend or a peer who has challenges with auditory sensors? So in that case, what they would do is they might choose to go with a screen reader software. What that software does is it helps them read out the elements on that app. Now, if you don't have your controls labeled correctly, then they would not know what the context of that or what the purpose of that button is. It may just show up as blank, or maybe a name that maybe saying button 1 or some standard naming convention that the app throws in. So it's very important that you understand how to go and set accessible labels for your buttons and controls using the properties pane. So we're going to take a look at that to a simple, quick tip of how you can make sure that your app is accessible for everyone. So let's go on to our site here. So first, we're going to look at how you can get started. If you're like me and you're not a web designer, and you don't come from a designing background, but you want a starting point, the PowerApps portal has pretty good templates that the Microsoft product team has already put out for you. So if you're in your PowerApps portal, which is make.powerapps.com, or if you go to your office.com, you can always go pick PowerApps from the list of icons there. Now, when I'm in the Maker portal, And on the create section, there are a bunch of templates available. Now, if I open up this specific template, which is the help desk template, you'll notice that it has tags. This tells me that this is of type Canvas app. This is the type of app that Akshita built as well. This app, a Canvas app, is really UI first, in the sense you have a blank canvas, kind of like an art canvas for you to start putting your design ideas on it. And then you can, integrate it with your data sources. So, and that's the type of app that we're looking at today. And then the second tab or tag that we have here is a phone. So this tells me that this is a phone or mobile-based layout. If it were a tablet layout, then this tag would tell me tablet. So you can always go pick a template that's in sync with the type of app that you want to create. Now, this help desk app is, you can see like how the sizing is. This is very specific to a mobile. You can also click on preview and you can go look at how the app functions. I'm going to open up a tablet-based app just so we know how it works. So let's go to this product showcase. I really like this app. It's got a very cool design to it. And you notice that this has the tag tablet. Now, to save time, I already have that tab opened. Now here you notice that there's a lot of design elements that are already here. I can go into the overview, or I can play the video, and then it has a beautiful video embedded. Then I can go to features. It's got a bunch of features that have been already laid out for me, implemented. This is a fully functional app. So you are able to click around and look at how others have built their apps. It's always good to take inspiration, even if you don't know where to start. The best thing you can do is go look out for other apps that have been built and that you can download or edit and look at what I do too is if there are pieces of the apps that I really like, I go and download the app, save a copy of the functionality, and then go pick components that I want to reuse and I extend it and I continue adding my own creative designs to it and then build it out. But then it's very helpful when you can learn from what others have done with the app. So this is just an example of the product showcase app. So if the next time you're on the portal, go try out some of the templates out there. Look at how people have built out apps. Look at how they're doing navigation. Look at how they're using some of the controls. It's a great place to get inspiration from. Now, there's also other sites that you can go to. Let me see if I can pull up my site here. Yep. So this is a site called UI Movement. Now, this has several UI designs, just the trends of what the UI design needs to look like, just for you to get ideas. You can go by screen, or you can even go by a control. Let's say you want to know, okay, how do I build a chart, or how do I build a breadcrumb, a navigation control at the top? You can go look at ideas and get inspired as well. Now, there are links to this, and I'll share that shortly in the chat. But these are some avenues for you to get inspired from for your templates or for your branding and just the overall design of how you want your apps to be. All right, next up. So far we've talked about how you can get inspired. We touched about how you want to plan ahead. Next up is branding, right? You have an inspiration. You've kind of come up with your plan of how you want your app to be. Next, you want to work on your branding. So we're going to talk about colors, which is one of the most important foundational concepts of your brand. So let's go to, I'm going to show you a website that I can use. I'm trying to see if I can minimize this thing. Don't think I can. All right. Let's go to this website over here. Coolers. There are several ways you can start with your color scheme that you would want, but this is one of my favorite sites. This is where I go to. So if you just go to your web browser and type out coolers.co, then it will take you to this spot that has a bunch of templates that are already available for you. Now, this is showing me what are the trending color templates. Now, let's say I go with this one. This is the one I want to see. I can go and say open a generator. And then let's wait for it to load. And then now I'm seeing about 5 different colors And it gives you several flexibility too. You can view shades, you can change it. Let's say you don't like this shade of yellow, you want to go a bit darker, you can choose that. Or let's say you want to add a new color, then you can also add a new color to this. So there are several ways you can, play around with this. Now, how you can make use of this within your apps is what I'm going to show you. So at the very top, there is a link for export. And then CSS is the style sheet. It's called cascading style sheet. That's just a terminology that comes with the web designing. It has all the styles that you see, all the colors, the way controls are laid out, how they're aligned, the formatting, anything that you can think about from a style standpoint is stored in the CSS file. Now, when you go to your CSS, there are different formats. It already has it. Now, in Power Apps, colors, the most common way of using colors is using the RGB format. RGB stands for red, green, and blue. So any color that you see out is literally a combination of different variations of red, green, and blue. That's how any other color is formed. So that's the format that we're going to look at for an example. Now at the bottom here, I can see that it's got a bunch of colors that are already defined for me, and I have the RGBA values. Now A is literally it's a property that you can set on for the type of or the percentage of transparency you want. Let's say you have a yellow, but then you want to use the same shade, but you want to go a little more transparent, or you want to be opaque. You can kind of define what that needs to be. Anywhere between 0 to 1, it's a percentage-based value. Now, if I have this, I can literally copy paste this into my app. So now I'm going to show you how you can do that. So let's go over to our app here. Let's go get to our app here. So now I just, have a bare bones app that I built for our demo today. And then I have a very basic form. It's just got a label controls, 2 label controls, 2 text boxes, and a button. And then I have one more screen that uses the email template. And so it's just got a bunch of form controls here for getting user input. A very good way to start with your branding colors is to make sure that you go on your app start, and then you go to your property on start. So what this is an event. So when for the first time your app starts, it's going to fire anything that you define here. So what I have is a app color scheme that I'm defining on app start. So here I just have 3 simple ones. I'm just defining what the header fill needs to be. Header in the sense, the very top part that we see here, this is what I call a header. And then, there are some apps you'll notice that have footers as well. But today I'm just going to show you how to, automate the process of defining colors for your controls. So we have our header, we have a button. So I have those defined, and you see we have the RGBA. And you can copy paste that from the Coolers website too. And so I have what my color needs to be. I've also specified what my button fill needs to be. And then any of my label text, what do I want that to be? Now you only have to define this once. Now the advantage of doing that is then you don't have to go define it on every screen, because every control in every screen has a set of properties that you can work with. There are several properties there. But today we're just going to focus on the fill colors, the background colors. Now these colors here are things that you can configure, you can go pick. But then what if your app has several screens and each screen has several controls? You're going to have to go to each specific control and pick what colors you want for that. To avoid having to do that, to make it more efficient for you and better use of your time, you can define what that scheme needs to be on app start. So now I have a variable. Variable is kind of like a temporary storage for your colors that you want to be using within your app. So I've just defined that. And then what I'm going to do is go to my header control. And now you can see that I have this blue that's already been filled out. Now I don't want to use that. So I'm going to comment it out. To comment it out, you can use the // And then I'm going to call my variable. My variable was called app color scheme. Now, because I already have it defined, I have that. But then when I do dot, I can see the different properties that I defined. So I had the header fill, at the button fill, and then I had the label text color. But now I'm just going to show you how to use the header fill. So let's go ahead and use the header fill. See, it changed from blue to very dark gray. So that's what I had to do. Now let's go to the emails screen. I'm going to do the same for the header control. I'm going to go ahead and mark that, comment that out, so we don't need to use that color. And I'm going to choose the color scheme that I defined at the very beginning of the app. Now you do want to remember that anything that you write or any piece of code or any functions that you call on the onStart is only called once for that session of the app. The first time you fire up the app, it's going to make all the calls and execute anything that you've done. So you can always define that at that point, because you don't need to be defining this on every screen, right? Because you already, once it knows the app was aware of what these colors needs to be, then you can refer to that in all of the other screens at any point in time. So we already have this. So now let's say I change a color. What I'm going to do is just change just randomly changing what the values need to be for the red, green, and blues. All right. And then in order to run it, you do have an option to run onStart. So what you're telling PowerApp is that, hey, I've changed something. Can you refresh and make sure all the controls are pointed to the same colors? Because I already have my background fill for the header to be set to be looking at that variable, it already did change the color. It changed the shade of gray that it had. So that's how you can define your app branding or your colors. Now, you're not limited to only defining colors. This example was just to get you started in thinking how you can plan ahead and start building out your branding and your theming. You are not limited to just colors. You can also define what your text type or your font needs to be. There are several types of fonts that you can use. You can choose what type of font family you want to use. You can choose what text size, font size you would want to use. There are several things that you can define. There's several style elements. You're not limited to just colors, but colors are a good place to get started with. And then you can go on and keep adding and extending your color scheme variable. All right, so now that we have that done, I wanted to show you another quick thing over here. So let's go over, I'm gonna go ahead and show you one more website. Actually, before that, let's touch a little bit on theming. So I have a third screen here, and that's called the custom theme. It's a similar email template form, but I'm going to show you some of the out-of-the-box theming that you already have available as part of the app. Now, if you remember when Akshita was creating the birthday reminder app, she built out her app, and she was so smart. She went with the data source, and she let PowerApps do all the work for her. So she was smart enough to figure that out, and it dropped in all the screens for her. But then she went into each screen and she changed the background color. Now you could do that too. What if you don't want to do that? What if you want an easy way to go and set a set of predefined colors, right? So there is a link at a ribbon item at the top that's called theme, and that comes under the home tab. And if you click on that, you'll see a bunch of themes. There's a standard set of themes and an office set of themes. Now, office set of themes are themes that kind of go well along with any Office 365 apps that you use, like say Word or PowerPoint, things like that. But then there are also some standard themes that the app already provides. So you don't have to define them. You could totally just use one of those. So let's say, for example, I am going to choose this one right here. And then you notice the moment I clicked on it, it literally changed the entire color for all the controls. So it changed the color of my button, it changed the border color, it changed what my text color needs to be. And you can play around with this and see which one you like better, what you want to use. Now, this is another way to have a very consistent look and feel across your app. So you can also do that. Now, it did change it. It didn't change it just for that screen. It changed it for every screen on my app. So it's actually telling your app, giving an indication that, hey, this is the theme that this maker has picked, and this is the theme that you would want to use across your app. So that was how you can define your themes. Now, lastly, we want to talk a little bit about accessibility. We talked about like how you have to meet this goal or it's recommended to meet this goal wherever possible, where your app is accessible to people with diverse range of hearing, sight, and cognitive abilities. So regardless of their ability, context, or situation, you want to make sure that the experience is really good for everyone. So a good way to make sure that your app is accessible, at least from a naming standpoint of your controls, is to go to the app checker. So if I go to that little stethoscope icon that you see on the top, that's your app checker. Now, when you go there, there are a couple of, several other things that are out there, but today we'll just focus on the accessibility. The other things that it lets you or keeps you aware of is if there are any errors or any performance issues or anything that you can optimize within your app. It's going to give you all sorts of warnings and if there are any errors. But this accessibility section is really important. And if you look at it, it's got a number 19. What that means is I have about 19 occurrences of accessibility issues in the sense, or at least errors, that's what it calls it, but it's more of an indication saying that, hey, you have about 19 controls or occurrences that you can fix so that your app and controls are accessible by everyone. So if you look at this one, for example, and when you click on it, it's going to take you to the details. Now, this is telling me which specific property is this being fired for, and then how you can fix it too. So it kind of has this little helper guide for you to walk you through what you need to do. And all it's asking me to do is go change the accessible property. And then it's also telling you why you need to change it. So it says if there's no accessible text, then people who can't see the screen won't understand what those images or controls are doing. So, we talked about this earlier where users could potentially be using a screen reader. If they can't see, they're going to be opting for a screen reader, which is going to read it out for them. Now, in my case, this text box, I don't have a label for it. So if one of my friends or peers are going to be using this and are using a screen reader, they're not going to know that a control exists because the screen reader is going to think there's nothing in there. It's not going to read out because it doesn't have a name. So it's very important to provide a name. All you have to do is just give it a name. For example, I'm just going to say this is my test input. And for example, let's say I'm capturing the first name and last name. And the app that Akshita showed, she showed us how she's collecting the username or the name of the person who she wants a reminder for and the date of birth. So, you could say something like first name. So now what this would do is when your app users are using a screen reader, it's going to call it out. It's going to read this control as first name. And then now they'll know that, oh, there is a control in here. And that has a label of first name. So that means it's actually expecting me to provide a first name. So that is how you can go and fix some of those accessibility errors. This is an easy way for you to go look at it. And as just to keep it more simpler for you, what you could do is as you're defining your apps, as you're building it out, you can always go in and make sure that they all have a name specified. Then, and then as you start providing names, the counts would go down, and then, you'll notice that it's actually, decrementing the number of callouts that it has. And then eventually you'll get to 0 and you'll not have to worry about it. And your app would be accessible by everyone. So that's about all the demo that I had. And I hope this was helpful. And Akshita, I wanted to tell you that you are so smart. You did such an amazing job of actually showing how to build. You literally built the app like in about 20 minutes, which is so cool. And I loved how you showed like starting from Excel and then you have the 3 screens already built out for you. It's really cool. Thank you for sharing that.
Thanks so much for sharing the design tips. I'm also very passionate about this subject, and I think this is really useful. Like it would help a lot of people on the call today because we normally just show them how to build apps. No one actually talk about the concept of how it's supposed to look like and such. And as you see, it's actually fairly simple. Some of the links you share are really useful, like the coolest.co and stuff. It'd be
Yeah,
great
I
if you could
actually have
share
that.
them on the chat. Yeah, and I'll put it on the YouTube as well. So do you guys have any questions for Geetha? I think she done such a great job to summarize everything in 20 minutes. It's a very broad topic.
I don't know if it was a fire hose of information.
I'm like, yeah, I was like, oh my God, you managed to condense all in 20 minutes.
Yeah,
All
I'm
the
just
key
hoping it's
points.
not like a fire hose of information. Like, oh, I need to remember what she said.
So, anyone have any questions for Geetha?
Thanks, Geetha auntie. I loved your first session and this session.
I think it was the other Geetha she's talking about.
Yeah,
Well, I'll take
Okay.
the compliment.
Yeah.
That's fine. I'll take the
Alright.
compliment.
just
I
take
think,
it,
I think
Geetha.
actually
Yeah.
yeah, I think the other one was data sources, which was very cool too. The other Geetha did a pretty good job of explaining what data sources are. So I'm sure you're implementing some of those tips that she shared in your app, your birthday reminder app. But you're very welcome. I'm happy to share.
Thanks for the team idea, auntie. I loved this session.
Oh, that's awesome. I would be very excited to see where you use it in your next app.
Yeah, I
Sure.
think the next time some kid present the app, it'll be, I need to up my game now.
I know, right? I know. They're all so smart. I mean, all these bright little brains. It's so much you can learn from them. Like Akshita was just so amazing. Like 9 years, and then just look at how good they are, how smart they are in grasping things.
Yeah, I think like Akshita, they learn it fairly fast compared to us. They don't ask too many questions on why it's done that way. Unlike what we do, that's what I noticed. So when you tell them something, they, instead of trying to figure out why it's that way, they just use it, and then using their creativity,
Yeah.
explore the whole enthusiasm and willing to learn. And I think we kind of lack of that after a while as we grow up.
Oh, totally. Yeah. I think that their brains are like the sponges, like, that's
Yeah.
it's just absorbing everything that they're seeing at such speed and efficiency. And I think
Yeah.
I'm too old. My sponges have worn out.
And Akshita is a very good example of how far they have gone in 7 months since we
Oh, yeah.
started. Yeah. So,
Yeah, I love how she put out that her first session was in October 2020. She did the PowerApps4Kids, and
Yeah.
look where she is now.
and she did a card, so it's more on the images and music. And today she's doing data sources
Wow, yeah. That's-
and cameras.
Elaine, I'm Jay here. Actually, Geetha, I'm Akshita's father. So basically, like, thanks for Elaine and Jiva for complete organization. Like, while she's starting on October 20, like, the complete Power Apps is new for her. So even I did not push any program things like any coding or any other things. Actually, we did not push at that time. Actually, like, she was continuously attending the couple of sessions. It's around, like, I believe, like, it's 6 to 7 sessions she was keep attending and keep improvising on the different things. And also, like, many things, like, even, like, apart from the Power Apps, she keep learning on the things in school as well, the Scratch and the different other apps as well. So the main thing is actually to make her focus on this particular Power Apps is a little bit critical challenge for me. And while learning the other things also, like, daily, currently in India, it is across the world also. It's a pandemic situation where the kid is not only forced to work only on the computer and the tab, she also parallelly working on the other things like the drawing, songs, and the karate and different exercises. She's in sports also. So making her focus only on computer was a little bit challenge for me and her mom as well. So anyway, like, this was like the particular sessions from Elaine and Jiva was very much helpful actually. And again, the Power Apps was the UI was more intuitive. So we were making her to do something like on Power Apps where Jiva and Elaine both were like asking us any sessions you wanted to provide. So this is one of the practiced session from our side. We were keep making her practice for the past 2 weeks. So that is one of the background on this part. So thanks, Elaine, Jiva, for both of you guys. Actually, without your this session's arrangement, surely I'm sure that actually Power Apps this much Akshita might not learn on this part. And Geetha, your session was very much good actually. Even like I was wondering actually it was that Geetha. I'm sure like you are a different Geetha. Okay, this session you
Quite a
provided on the
common
theme
name.
part. Yeah, it's a common name actually.
Yeah.
I just noticed on your first name, not on the last name. So thanks for clarification. Your session was awesome too. So I was just saying here actually, see, we missed out on this themes part. Even though I'm from a Microsoft technology development background, but I was moved into project management for a long time. So I did not have much time to spend with her actually to make her learn on Power Apps. These ideas actually across the menus, different things actually which you have shown, which was very much useful for her, I believe. She should make some more apps. The credit goes to you. So next time when she makes more good app, actually, I'm sure that you'll be part of the credit list. Actually, yeah.
Oh no, that's very kind of you. She is so smart. I'm sure she's going to learn so much more, and maybe I'll be learning more from her as she starts building out apps. She probably have a tip or two to share with me as she goes on this journey.
Yeah. Anyway, thanks for the complete Power Platform family, Elaine and Jiva, and for you guys as well. Actually, thanks for the opportunity, Elaine. Yeah. Yeah, Jiva. Hope you are back.
No, I'm
still in train journey. Okay. Thanks, Jiva. Thanks, Elaine, for both of you for this opportunity for us to provide for Akshita.
Jay, thanks a lot. That's actually too kind. Yeah, we provide a platform, but I have to say it's all these great presenters that willing to come along. You guys willing to join on the Saturday. I know it's very hard. We couldn't find a good timing to suit everyone. So I'm actually very grateful for all the support. Jiwa as well. I'm saying on his behalf because I think he's still in the train, right, Jiwa? So we're actually very grateful for all the support for you guys to come along every week. People like Geetha, the other Geetha, everyone that actually willing to spend their time to present. Like it's really late now for Geetha in US, and for her to sacrifice the time and present and share her knowledge. This is what makes this success. So it's not just both of us. I want to say it's credit to everyone on the call and everyone that joins us. Do you have anything to say before I share some news on what's next?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, cool. So before I go, as usual, I'm just going to share some of our learning.
Sure. Thank you so much again, Akshita, and time to present here. Yeah, and I don't want to take too much time. I think already over me. Yeah, please go ahead.
Oh, sorry, I didn't realize you're talking just now. But yeah, I'm just going to quickly share this before we go. So it ran a bit over. So this is Power Platform Learn. So this course is created by Rory Neary. If you guys check out our YouTube channel, they run the UK session. So this is a very good course to get started in not just Power Apps, but also Power Platform like Power BI and etc. So it's more a structured learning. If you can see over here, every course is kind of like 15-20 minutes to learn how to build your apps. And what he did is also he have consolidated all the other YouTubers, anyone who actually create videos on Power Apps, is all consolidated on this course as well. So you don't need to try and see who should I follow and etc. You can navigate all of it from here. And he have new courses nearly every month. Recently, he have a course on design principles, which is very similar to what Geetha have presented, just that it's in more detailed. There's, I think, 7 episodes on it. So do check this out. The course is free. Everything is free. We're not charging anything for this. And as well as our YouTube channel. So like I mentioned just now, we run both in UK, US, Europe, as well as APAC. So it's basically 2 different time zones. You might not able to catch the Europe one, but they have really amazing content as well. They have kids like Leo who presents in UK group, who is a regular over there, Rory, Peter, Vienstra, and etc. And then, of course, there's also the APAC session. So if you miss any of it, you can find it here on our PowerApps4Kids channel. So do subscribe to this channel. And once this is uploaded, I'll announce it on LinkedIn. Normally, I try to upload it 1-2 days after the presentation, and then I'll send you guys an email as well. So for next month, it would be on, as usual, the third Saturday of the month, which is, I think, 19th of June. We have Hardik Basha from US as well. He's gonna talk about how to use gallery, and we also will have another kid presenter. If any of you here would be interested to present, do drop me and Jiwa a message. We always welcome anybody to present, not just us. You can either just do a presentation on the app you built, or if you want to share some tips or some learnings, or like what Akshita did today to show us how to build a simple app, you're welcome to just drop us a message. Okay, so thanks a lot for coming to our session today. I think we kind of overrun by 6 minutes. Thanks for your time. I'm going to stay back a little while if there's any questions, or else have a good weekend and bye.